right, we're back with another Lichess game analysis, and this time we're going to be taking a look at a King's Indian attack versus the Caro-Kann. And I did a decent amount of work in this position for my students, as I think the modern prevailing answer in all of the books for playing against the King's Indian attack, honestly, I think it's wrong. I don't agree with it if you're trying to play for a win with this early e5, as it's quite annoying after knight gf3, bishop d6, g3 I'll play against all day long, but this move d4 is a theoretical challenge to face even when well prepared. And you go, well, didn't white just waste a tempo? Well, God, just everything liquidates. And it's hard to get blood from a stone. You can take a look at the game Carlsen So 2017 as a good example, as e takes d4 is the main move, followed by e takes d5. And notice what we get, but none other than an isolated pawn position that really, to me, I didn't sign up for this one. I prefer playing against the isolated pawn. And the plan's relatively simple for white here. So, not a big fan. So I started looking for alternatives, and like in recent lifetime repertoire text on the Caro-Kann, of course they recommend this same e5 line, and then let's say 50 to 100 trainable variations of we are having to play very accurately in order to generate any potential chance to get a win. No, I don't think I will. I've been playing g6. G6 with the Caro perk here, if you will, is a lot more flexible. Doesn't have any forcing lines that just goes directly into trades. And you can actually have some room for creativity and play here. White really is bottlenecked with his options. So they're typically going to play g3. Bishop e2 it seems a bit passive, where we can play e5 and get a position pretty similar to what we're going to get in the main game. b4 is pretty interesting. And this has been essayed a number of times by strong players. Queen c7 is nice and flexible. a5, and we'll say it's a roughly equal position, but white's playing a defensive structure. There's chances for both sides, but this is definitely a big preference over the initial line I showed you with 3e5. Now, coming back to g6, the predominant answer that I face is g3, and e5 seems very logical, taking that space while the getting's good. We can't play knight f6, so we do the next best thing because we need to keep an eye on the e5 pawn. We're still staying flexible with the pawn structure. Castle, castle. And my FM opponent in this game played c3, and it's the third choice, and black scores better than white. And when I'm looking in the database here, we've got first choice, rook e1, where white wins 30%, black wins 33%. Second choice, b4, where white wins 29%, black wins 31%. And fourth choice, b3, white wins 26%, black wins 41%. So why is this not the main line versus the King's Indian attack with the Caro-Kann? If you know something that I'm completely unaware of, please drop it in the comments. If you got a King's Indian attack book and the author has just pooped on this line, please let me know, because there's got to be a reason all these strong players and GMs just keep recommending 3e5. But I'm rolling the dice, guys. I'm going with this if and when I play the Caro-Kann, because I feel it gives much better practical chances. And aren't we supposed to be trying to win when we're playing? Okay. Just correct me if I'm wrong. All right, so Rookie 1, let's take a look at the main line first. D4, and after knight C4, very critical memory marker. If you don't remember this move, you aren't going to get the best position in the world. Really love this one. Queen C7, white wins more than black, but B5, you don't have to worry about that e-pawn, because knight takes E5. Where are you going? It's over. Give me that. Best he's got is going for this, and we got the two for one special, if you will. 2 pawns for the knight. I'll take it. So keep that in mind. That gives us some good play after B5. I'm not going to go through the entirety of all these systems, just giving some key ideas. A5 and A3 is not good. Bishop B2 doesn't look good. So B takes A5. Thank you for the free development. And D4 shuts down the bishop. Knight C4. All right, we'll go back here. And 2 games in the database. Most recent is from 2007, where a 2400 rated FIDE player beat a 2500 FIDE rated player. That doesn't happen every day with black, so I'll take that. So let's look at the main game now with C3. I played H6. It's kind of a wait-and-see move. I considered C3 to be a wait-and-see move. I did the same thing. Knight D7 is the predominant move in the database, where we get one of these big explosion situations, but black's already better as we're looking at key squares, and we've got a symmetrical structure, but it seems like we're getting faster to the punch here, and I like a novelty that has not been played, Knight A4, keeping an eye on the weak B2 pawn as the bishop on C1 is kind of tethered for defense. This seems annoying. Symmetrical pawn structure, but this is much more to my liking, as it feels like we're playing white here. We have a little bit to work with. But I would definitely go with my type of move again, H6. So, of course, I don't remember the theory for the third choice line and something that isn't highly theoretical, so I'm just playing a move. All right, seems like he's getting ready to take in the center. So I decide to go with D4. And this locks the center to a degree, protecting my e-pawn. Engine doesn't really like this move. It has a preference for rook E8, whereas if ED we're capturing with the knight. And I'm inclined to agree when looking at the position again. Oftentimes, you want to go D4 in these structures because once the white rook has moved off of E1, if the center was locked, he could simply move the knight out of the way and play F4. But now that the rook is gone off of F1, in order to justify play, he's going to have to put the rook back, wasting time. So going with King's Indian type themes, I look to punish that with D4. White should definitely be playing Knight C4 immediately here, going after the pawn, but takes. And B3, a passive move by my opponent, which definitely lets me back in the game. E5, where white can get some key squares. And white's got a little edge. We'll say a stable edge. But B3, I've got plenty of time to consolidate here. Bishop E6, Bishop A3. And you know what? I don't like pins, so we're going to go B6. We're going to go C5, shut down that bishop. And after B4, here's already a critical moment to look to generate play. The immediate C takes B4, we can just play knight BC6 following and get a tempo, but we still have the pin to deal with. So I decided to speculate a bit here. And as I'm talking, the engine's starting to evaluate it. It's bouncing back and forth between CB4 and B5. But I still have the preference B5 as it's more forcing. Takes. And A5. White should probably take on E7 here, but Bishop C5 was played. This is giving me more time. And I think a lot of players are going, well, why are you happy with this position? Didn't you just, like, lose a pawn? There's a couple of different ideas here, and being the type of player that I am, I played g5 just to look to undermine everything, but objectively, f6 is the strongest move, as again we see this knight struggling. And that's a theme that happens often in the structure. If they take on e5, they can run out of squares. And we've got a really jagged pawn structure, but an extra piece is an extra piece. I played g5 though, and white should have a winning position. Rook c8, bishop e3, and I'm back in it again after knight b4. Don't miss that opportunity, as I am keeping an eye on the a and d pawns here. So a3, knight c2, forking the rooks as well as the bishop. And now it's hard to find a good move for white, and not the best quality game overall by either myself or my opponent, who hangs a rook here and resigns understandably. But I mostly wanted to show this game as it's kind of a question I'm starting to have more and more as an author myself. Is it better to write a book and have the intent that the book is essentially flawless, perfect, according to engine analysis? And okay, we'll go with the other option first. Or you go for more practical options. And by practical, I mean they're digestible, you can learn them, they're point A to B thinking. And that's typically how I write the majority of my books. And of course, with time, you have to go back in and do updates. But when a player really grinds and goes for option number one, a writer, I should say, where you get that correspondence level text, what's better for the player and the reader? And I think it really depends on what you're looking for in an author in a book. Because I have yet to ever pick up a chess book where I have just been completely satisfied with everything the author recommends. I typically have to do my own research for many of the chapters and come up with different responses. So, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think in the comment. What do you look for in a chess book? Are you looking for perfection, or are you looking for something more practical that you can remember without an insane amount of repetitions and study? You tell me. I'm kind of curious about that. I'd appreciate your input. Thanks.